The EPL is back from the international break. You are most welcomed to Xtra Talk right here on the Extra Time Sports Show. This is where we give you an in-depth of games to be played, analysis, probable lineups, and the previewing of the biggest game to be played over the weekend across all footballing leagues. I am in a person of Kingsley. Grab a bottle of water as I return shortly to preview the game between Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal the Gunners. I'll be back shortly. Welcome back from this short break. As I said earlier, I will be previewing the game between Tottenham Hotspur and Arsenal the Gunners. Arteta signing a new 3-year contract with the Gunners. I think this is a really smart move by the Arsenal board to be able to convince Arteta to pen down a 3-year contract. Reason being that before the transfer closed, we heard so many rumors from various tabloids that Pep Guardiola might be leaving Man City in maybe 2 seasons to come. And then I'm very sure that the best bet of a coach Manchester City will go in for will be Mikel Arteta. So it is a good thing done by the Arsenal board to be able to convince Mikel Arteta to pen down 3 years contract. Now, coming into the studio, I met a colleague of mine and then he asked if really the game I'm about previewing is a big game. Definitely, you know the answer I will give him. Yes, it is a big game. And then I have some 2 or 3 reasons why this particular game is a big game. So let's get into it. Now, the first reason for this game being a big game is because it is a London derby. Not just a London derby, but then a North London derby. Just as you know, derbies are not played lightly. They are played with aggressiveness and all sorts of passion are being drawn into a derby game. Now, with all the London derbies, whereby we can have Chelsea, Tottenham being a London derby, Arsenal, Tottenham, or Arsenal, Chelsea being a London derby, this particular derby is the one that has produced most goals amongst all the derbies in London. So this adds up to the fact that this game is a big game. Now, moving to the last thing that makes this a very big game, it is about the head-to-head battle. For about 33 games played in the EPL between these two teams, Arsenal has won 14 out of these games, and then Tottenham has won 11 out of these games. Just to know, 3 wins are just separating these two teams. And then it is nothing much of a win for Tottenham, for the players to have a bragging rights to say, it is in our time we closed or lessened the gap between Arsenal and ourselves. And on the side of the Arsenal players, it is on their side to also make a history to widen the gap between Arsenal and then Tottenham when it comes to wins. And amongst these 33 games that has been played, 8 of them came out to be a draw game. Okay, so just as we say, in football terms, I would say behind every successful team, there is a coach. Now, I have sat and analyzed games from the preseason and then games played in the EPL so far by these 2 coaches. And I would like to start off from Mikel Arteta, what I sat to analyze and got to know his philosophy when playing games. Now, with Mikel Arteta, he actually focuses on dominating possession and controlling games. Just like we already know, Arsenal is a possessive team, and then they love to keep the ball and pass the ball around to find spaces into the defensive parts of the opponents. Now, just as you also know and you could notice, Arsenal mostly gets the most percentage rating after every football game. This shows that Mikel Arteta actually loves to possess the ball. And then the second philosophy where Arteta usually approaches games is where he high presses his players. This is a way where Arsenal high presses his players. Mikel Arteta does a man-to-man marking. Unlike Liverpool's onslaught where he will overload his players in the opponent's box, Mikel Arteta does a man-to-man marking. Now, moving on to the third thing that Mikel Arteta usually does in his football approach or games is his counter-attacking football. Just as you know, Arsenal will not stay back or set up in a low block for opponent teams to push the ball to them. But then this time around, Arsenal or Mikel Arteta usually sets up his team in a mid-block form, whereby immediately they get the ball, they transit very fast to their flanks, whereby they have very quick players in the presence of Saka and then Martinelli on the flanks. Now, let me move to Ange Postecoglou. This is how he usually approaches his games. He also is the type that loves to possess the ball and keeps control of the game. And by this, he usually builds up from the back. Normally, he plays a 4-2-3-1 formation, but then when he's building up from the back, he allows his fullbacks to invert or probably join the attack. So he allows his goalkeeper to join the remaining two centre-backs to progress the ball in his build-up. Now, Ange also sets up his team very compact in the middle of the pitch when playing. And then when Ange does this in this upcoming game, I can assure you they will be punished by Arsenal. Because when you are a team and then you set up your defensive shape in the middle of the pitch, you can't face a team like Arsenal. Reason being that Arsenal is a team that would always play on the flanks and wouldn't operate through the middle. Now, there's this philosophy Ange also plays when he's about getting into a game. This is his high aggressive pressing. Unlike Mikel Arteta does a man-to-man marking press, but Ange Postecoglou doesn't do that. He leaves you to build the ball from behind, and then immediately you make the first move of a pass to your player, his men hurriedly and aggressively attacks you. This has left Tottenham to have so many cards in this year's EPL games so far. Now, to the game itself. It is very unfortunate on the side of Arsenal to lose Calafiori, Timber, Odegaard, Declan Rice to injuries and some one or two things. We all know Declan Rice had a red card against Brighton when they played. He is going to miss this game. Odegaard is also injured when he went for the international break. Timber and Calafiori are also injured due to the international duty they went on. Now, Arsenal has a problem to deal with when it comes to the midfield. We all know the three midfield players that usually plays for Arsenal are Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, and then Odegaard. But this is the case where Mikel Arteta has lost two of these key players and is really going to be a blow for them. Now, in as much as Tottenham are also happy that Arsenal has a blow in their midfield part of their setup, they also have an injury blow where their striker, their newly bought striker, Dominic Solanke, is also injured. Now, when Solanke was in Bournemouth, Even if this guy doesn't score, trust me, he would create a chance for someone to score. So for Tottenham to lose for Tottenham to lose such a player in a person of Solanke, it is a big blow to them. Now let's get into the possible lineups. And trust me, this is actually going to be the exact lineup both coaches are going to use. Unless maybe someone picks up an injury or probably someone doesn't really meet the expectations of both coaches in the training grounds. So Tottenham would usually play their 4-2-3-1 where Vicario will be in post, Udogie, Romero, Van de Van, and then Poro will be their back four, having a double pivot of Sarr and then Bissouma. Now, moving to the front three, definitely Son will play on the left-hand side of the field. Odobet would play on the right-hand side of the field. Maddison would play just behind the striker. And then Angie would play Kulusevski as the arrowhead. Now, moving to the Arsenal's probable lineup, we all know Raya will be in the post. Because Arsenal has lost Timber and then Calafiori, definitely they also have a good person in a person of Zinchenko to replace them on the left side of the field. With their centre backs, definitely Mikel Arteta will play Gabriel and Saliba, and on the right-hand side of the field, that is their right back, Mikel Arteta will play Ben White. Now, due to the fact that Arsenal has lost two key players in their midfield, I'm very certain Mikel Arteta would play Jorginho and then would drop Kai Havertz from the attacking position and bring him back into the midfield, just like in some games last season he made him play. So they would have a midfield trio of Jorginho being the DM, Thomas Partey, and then Kai Havertz. And then the front three would definitely be Saka on the right-hand side of the field, Martinelli on the left-hand side of the field, and probably play Trossard as a false nine to lead the attack. Now, when it comes to defensive-wise, Arsenal has been very good defensively as compared to Tottenham. Reason being that Arsenal has just conceded only a goal in the EPL season so far. And then Tottenham has conceded 3 goals in the EPL season so far. I have already spoken about the midfield action where Arsenal is definitely going to play Jorginho and then Kai Havertz alongside Thomas Partey. So now, before I forget, individually, Christian Romero of Tottenham has been a better defender than that of Saliba this season. And stats can speak for itself. You can check the stats for yourself and you would get to know that indeed Romero has been a better defender than that of Saliba. Now, to the attacking forwards, or probably the persons that are going to be in the attacking position for both Tottenham and the Arsenal, I think Tottenham would have the most dangerous attack as compared to that of the Arsenal attack. Reason being that they have lost Odegaard and have lost Declan Rice. And we all know that with this Arsenal team, most of the chance creations and most of the passes that are being given to the flank players of the Arsenal team are being brought by Odegaard and then Declan Rice. So definitely the front forwards, or probably the forwards of Arsenal, are not really going to be fed for them to have a really dangerous attack just like they used to have every time. And now, this is very serious a thing to talk about. In as much as Arsenal, the Gunners, are not going to have a very flourishing attacking field, or a very flourishing attacking game, the fullbacks, especially Udogie, has to be very much careful when Tottenham is building back. This is because I earlier said when Tottenham are building back, the fullbacks gets into the middle part of the field and joins the midfielders. Immediately Tottenham Hotspur loses the ball, there is a danger man in the person of Saka, whereby Arsenal usually plays most of their balls to him. And when Saka gets hold of this ball, and there isn't any player of Udogie tackling him or giving him a tight marking, you know what Saka can do to the Tottenham team. Saka in a person is very deadly when it comes to attacking. Now, well said and well analyzed game. There are some key players from both teams that are really on top form. Now, to start with the players on form for Arsenal, we have Thomas Partey, where we all know he's the one that controls the games when it comes to Arsenal being very effective on the ball. They have a person of Kai Havertz, where he also, for these past 3 games, has been very superb for them. They have this person of Declan Rice, but due to the red card, he's going to miss this game. Now, moving to the Tottenham aspect, whereby they also have players that are on form. Just like I mentioned earlier, they have Christian Romero, who is so far their best defender. He is on top form. And then Maddison as well is on top form. I can't say this without leaving out Son. Son has been very superb so far from their preseason games, and then there are 3 games that has been played so far. Now, I don't know if I have to do this, but then if I am to predict a scoreline, just like I said earlier, this has been the London derby that has produced most goals. So definitely I would go for an over 2.5 goal ratio in this game, or both teams to score. Reason being that they all have quick and sharp attackers to punish either teams on both ends of the field. This is the Xtra Talk right here on the Extra Time Sports. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment under the comment section, and we are surely going to get back to you. I am in the person of Kingsley, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Xtra Talk Show right here on the Extra Time Sports. Bye.